Welcome to Hustle Skirt with your host today, Debra Gould. As you know, this particular program, Hustle Skirt, is about economic equity every day for everyone. I am so excited to introduce my guest today, Ann McNeill. But before I tell you something about this amazing woman, the Hustle Skirt concept is about the entrepreneur mindset. It is engaging female entrepreneurs with the opportunity to tell their story. We are purposeful in the things that we do in our faith walk, just being blessed, and how to be of service to all mankind. We are community activists. We are advocates. We are entrepreneurs in various industries, but most of all, we are for-profit. We have successful nonprofit organization, and we also give back in our way of mentoring. So with that being said, it is my desire to introduce as many women in my network worldwide to let you know about what they're doing. I hope that in each of the conversations you get to hear and how to reach these phenomenal women, so if they can ever be of service to you. So with that being said, again, I am Debra Gould, your host of Hustle Skirt, and today I have the opportunity to introduce to everyone, Ann McNeill, founded the National Association of Black Women in Construction, Inc., to build a pipeline for Black women in the public sector and create a network of professional women in the construction industry. We're going to learn more about this particular trailblazer and so many different facets of her amazing life. With that being said, let me welcome to my audience, Ann McNeill. Hello, Ann.
Oh, good afternoon, Debra. Good afternoon. Ann McNeill, the master wealth builder, helping to build stronger and better lives. And I'm very excited to be here to share.
You think you're excited? I'm happy to have you here because I've been wanting to have a platform where I get to showcase this a brilliant woman to the world. And so one of the first things, Ann, so we can kick this off and keep it kind of moving very fast, I would like to just ask some things first around economic equity. And as you know, when we think about the importance of defining equality and equity are two different concepts and thought processes. So when I think about equity, the term equity refers to fairness and justice and is distinguished from equality, whereas equality means providing the same to all. Yet, when we think about equity, it's simply recognizing that we all do not start at the same place. We must acknowledge that in our business communities, in our education system, and in our careers, that we do not all start at the same place. So we have to make some adjustments to this imbalance. And so today, I'm just going to ask you, Ann, can you just describe one word when you think of equity?
Greatness.
Ooh, powerful word, greatness. And that's what our audience is going to hear, all of the things that Ann McNeill in her life experiences is going to share with us today. So with that being said, Ann, you know I have some questions I'm going to ask you today. So I'm going to ask you a general question, a specific question, and a fun question. And if there's a way that you can segue how you want my audience to reach out and get to know more about Ann McNeill. So here's one thing I want my audience to hear. What's the story behind your business?
Wow, the story behind my business starts actually with the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And one of the reasons why I said greatness is because Napoleon Hill shares that greatness is the ability to recognize the power of our own mind, embrace it, and then use it. And I think that that speaks to the mental equity that we all have access to, but are we willing to step into it? And so at 9 p.m., December 31st, 1979, when I picked up this book and began to read it, I allowed it to read me. And for the first time in my adult life, someone asked me, Napoleon Hill that night, Ann McNeill, how much money do you want? So when you talk about equity, it starts also not so much with the money, but who we must become to make the money. And that has been my journey, whether it is in my personal life and learning how to save and invest, whether it is in my business life, starting 5 different businesses, or whether it is in starting the National Association of Black Women in Construction and being a part of the equity inclusion plan that connects to the $4 trillion infrastructure bill with the Department of Transportation and the U.S. President talking about equity and inclusion at a very high level. But if we don't do the work, Deborah, the inner work that's required, we will never really access and tap into the external equity that is allowed to, to grow in our lives and in our bank accounts.
I agree. And I like that piece on greatness because I've read Napoleon Hill books many times. I mean, probably over the course of 30 years. But when I participated in the mastermind group that you have pulled together, I find I tap into this book often, Ann. And even though I've kind of not been as active as I want to in the mastermind group, I have to reference it. It's actually on my nightstand, like my Bible. It is an excellent book. I have referred it to a number of people. And so to my audience, when she said, Think and Grow Rich, get yourself a copy. And you always have us to make sure that we have the most current version. In our mastermind group, is there anything that you can share with our audience? Because I've had several different copies. Is there one that you highly recommend? Just put your hands on a copy of that book.
Well, I do have a copy, but I tell you, to be quite frank with you, any version will do.
Okay.
First, second, third, fourth, any version that's published by anyone, because it's the principles. And there are many of us that have many, many, many different copies, but do the copies have us?
Yes, yes. I think being a part of the mastermind group, the book it's in me now.
Yes.
I just used to read it, but now I'm processing it. So let's keep it going. This time, let me ask a specific question. What are the 3 most important habits to be a successful entrepreneur?
Well, the first habit, I would definitely say having a larger vision and purpose of what's possible. And not just for yourself, but the difference that you will make in the world in terms of a habit of thinking and doing that which is required. That is habitual. That's first. Second, I think becoming an eternal student in your craft, becoming an eternal student in your life. So oftentimes, Deborah, we think that it's all about the money. Yes, I do talk about Think and Grow Rich and about money and investing in these things, but I don't think that there's a greater investment we can make over and above the habit of focusing on being health conscious. That's a habit.
Yes.
And a habit actually of thinking about what we're breathing, what we're seeing. All this is health because it's impacting our mental health, which is our physical health, if you will. What we're eating or not eating, what's eating us, what we're drinking or not drinking, what we're reading in the health area. I have a clarity mastermind that I do. And each month we focus on one of the 10 areas of our lives. So we start the year off in January with the spiritual area. And the second month we do the family. The third month we do financial. The fourth month, which we're in right now in the month of April, we're focusing on the health. And so each day I read something, I listen to something about my health. And interestingly, yesterday, I listened to a podcast about water and lemon and water and apple cider vinegar and water and lemon. Little things that can make just a habit of doing just a little, Deborah, just a little, but a little focused in a particular area that we want to grow. So those are, yes, those are three. And then thirdly, I would say the habit of saving and investing. It should be a habit. It should be automatic. Don't try to write the check. Don't try to go to the bank. But if you set it up automatically, $10, $20 to come out of one account to go into another. Those would be my three.
Okay. I like all three. That first one, in terms of, I find having a life on purpose, for me, a habit of, one of the reasons that motivated me to do this particular podcast, because I come from a thinking of abundance mentality and versus scarcity. So I like that first habit that you introduced to me. And I'm happy to hear that you're in the 4th month around health, because I'm finding how it's important to me in terms of eating right, exercising, and sleeping right. And I never understood the value of 8 hours sleep. It works, and I'm feeling absolutely great. So I'm going to keep our interview going here. Just this time, I'm going to ask you a fun question. Who is your biggest role model?
My biggest role model, I would say, was Dorothy I. Heights. Sarah Heights.
I knew you was going to say that.
and the reason she's my shero, she is my shero, she's my role model, is because she was one of the first women that I aspired to acknowledge in my young life when I was in college, and I learned about her as I was pledging Delta, but also to be the founder in her day, to be the founder of Delta Sigma Theta and NCNW, National Council of Negro Women, at the same time for two different groups of women. And as I grow older, I see that's, playing out in my life in terms of my service above self and my volunteerism, but just being willing to model her at the level in which she operated, as you know.
She was a phenomenal woman.
Phenomenal woman, and sat with every president until the day she died, from the time she started on this journey. And so I just think that is service above self for me, but it is also a larger vision of what's possible in my life after watching her life.
Thank you for sharing. Guess what, Ann? Your responses to all three of my questions, having you as a guest on Hustle Skirt Podcast, it's something I've been wanting to do when I schedule all of these amazing women that I want to be a part of this. It was important that you here. Now, Ann, thank you for your gift of being here today, but how can my audience learn more about Ann McNeill? You mentioned 5 companies. Is there any place that folks can, in terms of a website, your podcast, email, or a telephone number, so if folks want to know more about what it is you're doing after this amazing interview today?
Well, naturally, people can reach out to me on my website. That's Ann McNeill. That's McNeill.com. Lots of information there. Ann McNeill. That's ANNMCNEILL.com. But also, I like to have people connect with me through my 6 Keys to Riches. If you're interested in understanding a little bit about, those 6 steps that I am still on that journey that created my 5 businesses, you can text the word Ann, that's ANN, at the number 55678. That number again is 55678. And if you put the word Ann in the chat, that's ANN, then I will immediately send you information on how to connect with me and to receive my 6 Keys to Riches. But there's so many, Google is always good. If you Google Ann McNeill, You'll find out a lot about the National Association of Black Women in Construction. And also, I'm the first Black female contractor in the state of Florida, operating at the level that we do, focusing on billion-dollar programs. And there's just so much information out there, Deborah. I'm not hard to find.
I have a feeling folks are going to listen to this particular interview over and over and over to get your text message. They're going to Google you. And I hope that this interview and this platform we created together today will be a start of more and more people reaching you, because you have touched so many lives in a positive way. You are just one of those positive, influential women who have inspired me, like Dorothy, your sorrow has inspired you. You have been that type of person for me, Ann McNeill. So we're going to wrap up our show for today by simply saying you have been a guest of the Hustle Skirt. And I want to encourage you that there are so many opportunities that you can find on various platforms, from iHeartRadio and iTunes and my YouTube channel and my website, to learn more on all of my social media channels, from Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn, that you will have in a couple of days this particular interview on Ann McNeill. But before I wrap up our show, I'm going to ask Ann one more time to repeat your website, please. Ann, would you just share with our audience your website again?
Sure. My website is ANNMCNEILL.com. That's AnnMcNeill.com. ANNMCNEILL.com.
And in closing, Hustle Skirt objective is to empower you to speak up, embrace change in your own vision, mission, purpose, and just get fired up with your passion and life. I'm bringing guests before you to kind of have you take charge and a turbo charge and just go after what it is you want on your faith walk. Until we meet again, I am Debra Gould, the host of Hustle Skirt. See ya until we meet again. To my guests, thank you, Ann McNeill. Bye, Ann.
Bye-bye.